Hey everyone, welcome back to Thousands of Roots. I'm Carrie, and early this year, 2019, I decided to tackle a goal of mine that I'd had for years, and that was the goal of growing greens year-round here in our Zone 6, southern Missouri. Our family really enjoys greens. We try and get greens in our diet every single day if at all possible, and we like to eat them in a variety of different ways, sometimes raw in salads and oftentimes cooked or mixed into soups or things. Because we enjoy greens so much, I knew it was something that I wanted to really master. I wanted to learn how to grow greens year-round. So I thought I'd give a little update, and then it'd be fun as well to share just some of the children's favorite greens up to this point. We still have a lot of learning to do, and oh man, it's endless how many different kinds of greens are out there that you can grow. So one thing we already knew, having some gardening experience, we already knew that it was going to be fairly easy to grow greens during the spring and fall here in Missouri. But we also knew it would be challenging to grow greens in the summer and the winter. So those are the two seasons that I've been really focusing on this year, to learn as much as I can to see if we can grow greens even in those seasons that are challenge here in Missouri. So I'll just start with winter. Last winter we tried for the first time to grow soil sprouts inside our cabin. And while it was exciting and new and a lot of fun in many ways, it just really didn't work as well as I had hoped it would. We just didn't have enough sun getting to the area where we had our trays, and the sprouts seemed to grow very, very slowly, and it just was not a substantial amount of greens for our large family of 8, almost 9. So although we did grow greens in the winter, actually beginning back last year in 2018, the end of the year, we started those soil sprouts and just continued all winter long. Although we were growing greens and yes, eating some of those little bitty sprouts, I think for the most part we've given up on the soil sprouts for now. I may try a little bit more this winter. So even in January and February of this year, we were super excited and surprised to see that even in our little low tunnels that just had a single cover on, we were able to still be harvesting things like mizuna and tatsoi, kale, chard, even radishes survived that long. They were the daikon radishes. So to me, that gives me a lot of hope that next winter, if we do some double cover, we'll be able to grow even more. So for winter time, I think we're going to go with the double cover little miniature tunnels and eventually some little small greenhouses. Moving on through the months of May and June and July, we had an abundance of greens, so much so that we were able to share with a couple other families that are here on the property, or that were on the property. So we were able to harvest things like lamb's quarters that just had come up wild in our garden. We left a patch of them, kale, red chard, Chinese cabbage, spinach, red oric, all kinds of greens in abundance. So those months are wonderful. We were able to direct sow or do transplants right into the garden, and everything was happy. Nothing really bolted in those months until kind of the end of June. And it was a wonderful time, plentiful greens. By July and August, things were heating up. The greens were not liking it so much, but we did have one kale variety that held on for a very long time, the blue curled Scotch kale, and surprisingly red Russian kale that we had planted in our greenhouse early spring, early March, was still going and is still going even to this day. I cannot believe it. So the red Russian kale in our greenhouse has been phenomenal. A few others that held on through the heat of July and August were lamb's quarters, not as much as in the spring, but we still had some. Chinese cabbage surprisingly held on for quite a while. Our red chard held on. It did bolt, but I chopped it back and then it kind of came back. Malabar spinach, a new one that we tried that's actually kind of right behind me here. It's hard to see because it's mixed in with the purple pole beans, which is something I won't do next year. I'm not going to put the Malabar spinach with the purple pole beans. It's a little too hard to harvest because the leaves look so similar. But Malabar spinach has been great, and it is still going to this day, and we're in September now. I'm hoping the Malabar spinach will continue all the way through the month of September, maybe into October. We'll see. Another green that's been great for the heat has been Ford Hook Giant Chard, which we planted early summer, and it is still going and doing great. Another one is sweet potato greens. We like to trim back our vines so that we get some bigger tubers, hopefully. We haven't harvested them yet, but that's a method that we've done in the past that's worked well. So we've been eating the sweet potato greens, cooking them, adding them to things, adding them to veggie mixes and things like that. So that's been another great one for the heat. And now that we're going into fall, I'm realizing that fall is really not an easy time to grow greens here in Missouri. The carrots, not a green. The carrots are surviving, and a few of the beets have made it. I've had to plant my green seedlings 3 or 4 times now. They don't like this heat. So I've got to come up with a better method for starting our fall crops in order to get the plants established and mature enough before they go in the ground to be able to last through the really cold weather that hits really fast. It's super hot September, middle of September right now, and before we know it, the temperatures are going to be plummeting down. We're going to have freezing nights, and so we don't really have a good window of opportunity for getting those fall crops going unless you have some special conditions. So I'm working on special conditions to get seedlings going for fall and winter crops. And right now, that is just having the seedling trays move various places to stay in the shade on our front patio area. And I've got covers over them to keep the bugs out, because we still have all kinds of bugs that eat the brassicas if I don't cover them. So yeah, fall is not the easiest time to grow greens here in Missouri, which I just wasn't really expecting that. I was really hopeful for a big fall garden and thinking it was going to be easy, and it hasn't been. So I've still got a lot to learn when it comes to fall gardening here in Missouri and getting ready to overwinter crops. So moving forward from here to the end of the year, my hope is that this 3rd, 4th try on these fall starts that I've got in the trays will survive the heat and survive the bugs, and that I'll be able to successfully transplant them into our beds close to the house that are going to have a single cover, possibly a double row cover on, to get them through the fall and maybe even through the winter, just like last year. And then we begin a whole new year of growing greens year-round. I'm excited to continue to learn. For those of you who love growing greens and have some tips that you would like to recommend, unfortunately we don't have comments here on YouTube, but we do have a Facebook page, Thousands of Roots Homestead. If you are a part of that or would like to become a part of it, that'd be awesome. I'd love to interact with you there. Share any comments that you have on growing greens year-round. Now let's see what the children have to say about their favorite greens that we've grown so far.
My favorite greens we've grown this year is kale, collards, and spinach.
Cool, and how do you like to eat all of those?
I like to eat the kale and the strawberry kale salad I make, and I like the collards just plain and the spinach cooked.
My favorite greens that we've grown are Chinese cabbage and kale. I like both of them, like in salads and just raw, and both of them cooked.
My favorite greens were Georgia Southern collards and pretty much any greens my mom cooked.
My favorite green we've grown this year is kale, and I like it cooked.
When I cook it, do you like lots of butter and salt in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to add some goodness to it, huh?
Yep.
Not that it's not good enough on its own. Do you like to eat it raw at all?
Yeah, mostly cooked though.
Mostly cooked. All right, Jay's turn. At first, when I was reminding him of all the greens we'd grown, he said that, yeah, you like the Ruby Steaks Mizuna the best, huh? Is that what you said at first? And then you changed your mind when I got to, on the list, I got to what? What's your real favorite one?
Cabbage. Chinese cabbage.
Chinese cabbage. And how do you like to eat it?
Plain, well, both. I like eating it both, just plain and cooked.
And cooked. Do you like it plain, like mixed in with salads?
Yeah, that too.
That too?
And also just plain.
And also just plain. Hard to sit still even for a moment, huh? Okay, are there any other greens that you really liked a lot that we grew this year?
The one that grows in my garden.
Do you remember what that was?
wasn't it one of the ones that they grow in that garden? Which one was that?
Are you thinking of the purple lady bok choy?
Yeah, that
Purple
one.
leaves one?
Yeah,
maybe?
that one.
You had a little bit of everything in your garden. Oh, you had lettuce too. I think you like some of the lettuces.
Yeah, I like the lettuce. That's what I really like. Too. Really
Cool.
like that too.
All right, what you working on there?
Playing with my little thing.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for sharing, buddy.
Mhm.
You can go play. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us today. We will see you in the next video. Until then, we pray blessings over you and yours. And whatever you do, do it with your whole heart. Oh, I forgot what they were now. You look at the camera? What you working on there?
Playing with my little thing.
Can you look at the camera, bud?
Playing with my little thing.